Hello everyone and welcome back to Up in the Air. I'm Meredith Fish.
And I'm Ryan Breton. It is great to be back with you here on CNET for another season of our show.
And with the new school year comes a new Up in the Air team. This season we are happy to introduce Hunter Williams and JP Nicola.
That's right. We are looking forward to working with them this season and hope you enjoy their contributions as well.
And as always, you can find us here with the latest from Penn State meteorology students each Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the next 10 weeks.
Now, if you're unfamiliar with our show, we cover a wide variety of topics in the field of meteorology. From weather risk to climate dynamics, we'll cover how weather impacts life in ways that you may not be familiar with.
That's right, and we'll cover a bit of current events in the weather world each week in our Update in the Air segment, beginning now with this week's Update in the Air. As our scientists, we often forget how the events we study affect human lives. Climate change, however, has been a large exception in today's scientific studies. Last Monday, the United Nations hosted the Climate Summit 2014 to bring together world leaders to address climate change and acquire support for climate action. One topic of these movements is to characterize how climate events may influence worker health and safety. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is focused on how climate change may increase occupational hazards and exposures while allowing for the emergence of new ones. Some of the occupations that could be affected by climate change are outdoor workers, emergency responders, commercial fishermen, farmers, and healthcare workers. Direct and indirect effects of the impact of climate change are increasing hazards in the work environment. With strong evidence relating climate change and the risks of job-related injury, additional research is planned to fully understand the health consequences of climate change.
Fall is officially underway, and it's becoming more clear every day as the leaves change from the vibrant greens of the summer to the glowing yellows, reds, and oranges of the fall. The current foliage report for Pennsylvania shows that the northern tier of the state is experiencing the most foliage change. Color will continue to spread south into Happy Valley in the days ahead. This time of the year, most wonder what causes the color to change. Despite the recent warmth, foliage continues to expand primarily because of the shorter days and longer nights. Nowadays, the sun is up after 7 a.m. and it sets before 7 p.m. under 12 hours of daylight. As a result, chlorophyll production is slowing, causing the veins that carry fluids through the leaves to close off. Sugars are then trapped in the leaf, and anthocyanin is produced, which is a pigment that leads to the brighter colors. Weather and climate both play a role in foliage. Some believe that a slightly slower start than normal is occurring due to a very dry late August and September period in central Pennsylvania.
A new report published by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has 2014 on track to becoming the hottest year on record. The report discusses how the global average temperature from June through August was 1.28 degrees higher than the 20th century average. They are attributing this rise in average temperature to global sea surface temperatures reaching an all-time high of 62.57 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 1.17 degrees above the previous century's average. These all-time high temperatures were also recorded during the southern hemisphere's winter, making them the fourth warmest on record. The report concludes that if 2014 maintains this temperature departure from average for the remainder of the year, it will be the warmest on record.
Researchers at the University of Colorado have recovered some of the first detailed images of sea ice from the onset of the satellite age in Earth science. Researchers David Gallagher and Garrett Campbell have digitized more than 750,000 satellite images that were in storage on data tapes and black and white film. Their goal is to look at the changes in sea ice extent in both the Arctic and Antarctica over the last 50 years. Images they have recovered revealed that in 1964, Antarctica evidently had its largest sea ice extent in recorded history. But remarkably, just 2 years later, in 1966, it had a record low maximum sea ice extent. They are a long way from being able to scientifically explain what the images reveal, but in a world where climate change dominates much of the conversation, their findings could aid researchers in better understanding what our future holds.
Tropical meteorologists will be excited about the first weather instrument of any kind planned to dock on the International Space Station. The Rapid Scatterometer, or ISS RapidScat, has the potential to improve hurricane forecasts by providing a measure of near-surface wind speed and direction. This is important as it will detect low-level vertical circulations beneath tropical storms, information which can only be collected by flying airplanes into developing storms. Although there are 2 other scatterometers in space already, docking to the International Space Station will allow the collection of data across the entire globe, from the Arctic to Antarctic at different times of day, allowing scientists to study how ocean winds grow and change. This instrument launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida last week, and we look forward to future research using this data.
The ongoing drought in California was discussed frequently on this show last season, and it remains a problem today. A new study by Cornell, the University of Arizona, and the USGS reveals that the odds of a 10-year drought affecting the southwestern United States have increased to 80%. Today, over 3/4 of California is facing an extreme drought, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor, and over half is experiencing exceptional drought conditions. We will continue to have updates on the California drought and look ahead to the next couple of weeks in our climate outlook later in the show. But first, that is update in the air for this week. We'll be right back with more after this. Wow, Meredith, that much hail is not really typical for this time of the year, as the freezing level is much higher in the atmosphere due to the warmer summer-like air.
Well, I bet those weather weenies in Colorado are enjoying this weather.
And certainly. And next up, we have an example of what students in Penn State's Climate Dynamics class may present each week on this show.
Travis Patterson and Matt Koval are here now discussing climate change and sea level rise throughout the United States.
New York City, Los Angeles, New Orleans. A significant portion of the world's population lives within close proximity to the oceans, often in large cities such as these, though $1 million beach view may become $1 million disaster. These cities are in danger of becoming submerged if sea levels continue to rise at the rate of about 1 inch per decade, according to a new climate model projection. Although this projection may seem minute, looking to the past, geologic records show that ice sheets are capable of causing rapid sea level rise, some as great as 3 to 4 times what we see today. So by the end of this century, sea levels could rise anywhere from 8 inches to a whopping 6.5 feet around the planet. A major player in the large uncertainty of sea level rise projections is, you guessed it, global warming.
Global warming raises sea levels in 2 ways. It warms ocean waters, which expand due to an increase in temperature. Also, global warming warms and melts ice stored in the massive ice sheets that cover Greenland and Antarctica. The melting of these ice sheets presents the largest uncertainty for sea level projections. For instance, sea level, which is measured relative to land, in the vicinity of the ice melt actually decreases because the ground underneath the melting ice rebounds as the heavy ice disappears. However, locations far away from these melting ice sheets won't be as fortunate. This redistribution of water can greatly impact sea levels of oceanside communities.
Let's consider New Orleans for a moment, a major thriving city that actually lies below sea levels in certain areas. If sea levels continue to rise at rates at the higher end of the projections, the Big Easy may not be so easy to navigate around without a boat. And although global warming's impact on sea levels is hard to ignore, there are other climatological events that can affect sea levels as well. Case in point, El Niño. An El Niño event or episode is, in a nutshell, the warming of waters in the equatorial Pacific. The arrival of warmer waters off the California coast actually raises sea levels. On the other hand, during a La Niña, its counterpart resulting in cooler than normal waters, sea levels tend to subside a bit. Now, in the distant future, climate change is expected to change ocean currents and the winds that drive them. These changes build up and can affect the distribution of heat within the oceans. As a result, El Niño and La Niña episodes along the equatorial Pacific may be impacted.
Although there are plenty of models that can accurately predict El Niño and La Niña, there are only 2 main models that scientists use to simulate sea level changes. These 2 types of models simulate Earth's atmosphere, ocean, and ice sheets to make projections about the future of sea levels. But the 2 don't always agree. While these models include decent representations of the ocean and atmosphere, the behavior of ice sheets is not as well represented. Therefore, until models can be improved to project ice sheet melt more accurately, the best scientists can do is to use current observations and modeling to protect coastal inhabitants in the near and distant future. For Up in the Air, I'm Matthew Koval.
And I'm Travis Patterson.
Thanks, Matt and Travis. Who would have known that so much contributes to sea level rise?
And now one of the other elements on our show is the weather. Now, given our show runs over multiple days, it's difficult to give a day-to-day forecast.
But we provide an 8 to 14-day climate outlook with details on temperature and precipitation patterns across the country.
Now, a new member of our team, Hunter Williams, is standing by with the details on next week's climate outlook.
Thank you, Ryan and Meredith. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to having a great season of Up in the Air alongside you guys. Now, over the past couple of weeks, it's been mainly quiet here along the East Coast. You can see some rain move through the Carolinas, up through Virginia, and down through New England as well. But really, the story here has been these above normal temperatures as we've begun fall here. And really, as we head through the next couple of weeks here, we see that trend does continue. So if you're wanting a taste of fall, you're going to have to wait a couple more weeks. It's not here just yet for folks along the East Coast. You can see above normal conditions, above normal temperatures extending up the East Coast through New England as well, stretching all across the southeast here. So the fall is not quite here yet unless you are out in the Midwest, the Great Lakes areas, and extending through the Midwest, seeing below normal temperatures. So cooler temperatures are on the way here as we see heading out west. It's a similar story to what we're seeing out east as well. Above normal temperatures for California, extending through Nevada, Utah, and off through Colorado as well. So we will see the folks out west seeing a continuation of summer here as we begin fall. And as far as precipitation, above normal precipitation extending through much of the East Coast here. Along the immediate coast, you can see we're going to be just about average, but above normal precipitation down in Florida, as well as the Great Lakes areas extending through the Midwest as well. And out west, it is a different story. We're seeing very dry conditions out there in the same spots that we mentioned, those warmer temperatures through California, Nevada, Utah, as well as Colorado. So as we go through the next couple of weeks, we'll be sure to watch these areas for forest fire conditions. But once again, I'm student meteorologist Hunter Williams here. Back to Ryan and Meredith.
Thanks very much, Hunter. Great job, and welcome to our team.
And that does it for this week's episode of Up in the Air. Thanks so much for joining us.
Now, next week, JP Nicola will be right here with Meredith hosting the show.
Yes, we look forward to introducing you to another new member of our team.
Definitely. Now, that is all the time that we have for this week's episode. Look forward to seeing you right back here next week, Up in the Air.